Are we about to have first contact? Are the aliens coming to Earth? Or have they already quietly been here? Or are they walking among us? Are the aliens really coming to Earth? Are they going to come and land in their ships? Who knows? It's really an interesting conversation. But what if they aren't arriving in ships, but they're coming through our consciousness, through a frequency, through an awareness? What if contact begins within us first? We're all out here listening to some who want to talk about this is the year and this is when it's going to happen and this is how it's going to happen and they're already here and they've been working with the government. Who the heck really knows the truth? What we do know, if you've been paying attention, especially in the last 6 years, there's been a lot of deceit, deception, and out freaking lies given to us by our governments, by the people that run the world, the organizations. We've been told what to believe and how to believe, and we've been programmed through television, radio, through not just what we're seeing, but a hidden agenda of frequencies that we're not even aware of are affecting our thought process. Hey, everybody. I'm Sandra McEllis, and I'm the host of the podcast Keep It Spiritually Simple and YouTube Sandra McEllis. So I start this particular topic simply because it was asked of me yesterday. I'm going to sit back in my rocking chair. We're going to review some of the things that went through my innate voice when I was asked a question. So I just got back from Sedona visiting friends and going to a retreat, an ascension retreat, actually. If you haven't been to Sedona, it's an isolated area with a lot of apparent vortexes and portals. It's very rich in American Indian history. It's very rich in energy. The mountains are red rocks, so there's a lot of trails. It's in an altitude that generally stays a little bit cooler than the rest of Arizona. And it's a beautiful place to visit. It can be very touristy. I stayed away from it for about 20 years, was never, ever called to go there to have an experience. Until about a year or so ago, I was going to head out to a retreat and my friends canceled. And it's very expensive out there. So I took a back seat and said, you know what, I'll bypass it. And then I went out and visited a high school girlfriend and did some sightseeing and so on. It was nice. Then I went out again with some other girls and went into the heart of Sedona, just outside of town with a lot of the locals, and did a lot of ceremony and just had a wonderful time, and did it again just recently. And we'll probably go back just simply because it's a gathering of like-minded, healer, awakened friends. And everyone just unconditionally loves each other in the groups that I have been blessed to come in contact with. And the interesting thing is preordained because we all feel like we know each other. So anyway, the rest of the world thinks because you go there, you're going to get touched by all this. It's never fazed me. People will say, I wonder why it doesn't faze you. Because when I went out there, I had all this, whoa. Well, I think it's because I'm very aligned already with energy. And I've done a lot of work professionally and personally for almost 40 years, long before any of this woo-woo was even accepted at all. So I've lived my life like that, but as my adulthood came on, I began to own it more. So I know when to speak about it and when not to speak about it. So anywho, when you're there, you think you're around most of the people that think in the same way you do. Well, they don't all. Okay. Some people have different directions of their perceptions, and that's cool too. Again, unconditional love. So anyway, I returned and a friend called me and asked, how was Sedona? And I'm like, it was fine. I'm not an overzealous person. Oh, it was fine. It was nice to see everybody. Yeah, I didn't know what else to say. We had some wonderful ceremony, met some wonderful people. Um, but she's like, well, what about, I'm hearing everywhere we're going to be having contact in 2026, 2027. What do you think about that? And my thought immediately was a little bit agitated, actually, because the logic of that wasn't making sense to the average Joe, right? So I needed to explain it to her in a way that was coming to me. And that was something along the lines of, well, let's talk about that for a second. So just because someone said doesn't mean it is. Let's back up for just a quick second. If anyone knows me and knows anything about what I talk about personally and on these shows, is that in 2017, Spirit asked me, could I forget everything I know? Could I forget everything I know? Everything I've been taught, everything I've learned, everything that I've expected life to be, could I forget it? I was walking down the stairs. I wasn't even at the landing. And the answer was yes. And then I heard Spirit say, even if the information sounds familiar, can you view it, see it, and sense it with different sensories, different perspective, different perception? Could you look at it in newness? And then can you ask yourself, does it pertain to me in the here and now? Does it benefit me or create harm? Does it actually make any sense? Does it make sense for you in the here and now? Fast forward now, 9 years, I still follow that. So there's nothing that I could hear that is so freaking far-fetched that I would have an opinion about it. I would look at it like it was information. I've been also taught that unless I see it, sense it, and experience it, it's not relevant in my particular growth, evolution, metamorphosis at this time. So then, of course, I asked, give me sight so I see things. And then, of course, I get downloads from my higher self. I do not channel beings. It's only me, myself, and I of the God source that I am, from the spark of all that is, the God of me. Well, anyway, back to the question and the answer, my friends. I said, well, let's talk about that for a second. Think about the world and all of its population. What is there? Maybe 15, 20% that's really, truly following this, really, truly following this in any way, shape, or form. Just because you go to places like Sedona and you think the thousands and thousands of people you're among all see, sense, and feel in the same way, and that a lot of presenters go there to present because they're drawing in people into this energy, does it make it true? Right? I said, even for me, I have to be careful what I say to family and friends. If I was to go out and say to certain people, which would be the majority of people that I would know, family, friends, whatever, coworkers, whatever, they would look at me like I needed to be checked. Like, okay, Sandy, you're having a moment. Only some people can you actually get into this topic. Are the ETs coming, the extraterrestrials? We are terrestrial, they are extraterrestrial. So they are more advanced civilizations in every way. Okay, so we would be kindergartners and maybe they would be in college. And there's no comparison. All right, but they're looking out for us. So we hear. But in the movies, of course, they want to depict it the opposite. There's a good mix that want to take you out, and there's a few that want to save you. All right. Of course, we know what the program of the movie is all about. So, anyway, I said, all right, so let's talk about that. So, let's say 80% of the population would have no clue what you're talking about. How are they going to be prepared? Do you think a ship's just going to come over your town, Bill? Your city, a city near you, and they're just going to all unload through a beam of light like you've seen in the movies and then just walk among you? I can tell you this. I've had some experiences that I'm not going to get into detail with now. I've had some experiences. And so I know that there's a lot that I don't know. And there's a lot that comes in very quick, eyes open, just to let me know I'm not alone. And there's something holographic beyond a different dimension, not as dense as me, that is around me. I feel like if one popped up, I would be prepared. But contraire, your nervous system will automatically respond with adrenal rush and fear, no matter how prepared you are. Think about when you're at home and something drops and it's dark, or you hear an odd noise in the house. What is your first reaction? And we're living in a world where we're running off of cortisol, adrenaline to balance our sugar, to balance all the electrodes that we're exposed to, the electronics, because they're all like electrodes all over our body. We're living in a current that is interfered by multiple currents. And then we're living a life that's very fast paced. So we're not taking the time to settle in word enough to even contain the sympathetic nervous system. Most of us are in fight or flight, even when we think we're in rest mode. Fact, my friends, fact. So think about that. If one landed in a room near you, what you gonna do? Especially when they don't look like you think they may look. Because I know what a lot of the drawings are out there, and I think it's even beyond that. Then on top of that, we as humans automatically disclaim because we override anything that might be of danger. We read things as danger first because we haven't acclimated or adjusted to those energies. So, do you think an alien is just going to come out of its ship and just land in front of you or land in front of everybody at the mall? Hey, man, no, it's not going to happen like that. What if it is the extraterrestrial within your human that is getting you to calibrate in a different way and working towards that on a personal way, not necessarily a collective way? Do you think those other 80% who have no clue, who think that's just a sci-fi, psyop, it's just a movie, do you think their nervous systems are going to be able to be contained during a surprise visit? I don't think so. I'm also told by my spirit guide, my higher self, that it isn't going to happen the way a lot of people are channeling that it's going to happen. And a lot of people are channeling this because why? their algorithms go up. And remember, Keep It Spiritually Simple was a name my guides gave me because their philosophy for me was always keep it simple, Sandy. Keep it real and keep it simple. Because that is where the majority of the people actually are. Someone comes in and talks way over my head, and I'm like, wow, wow, wow. My head starts sirening. My whole body's like, oh, warning, warning. What the heck are you talking about? Just give it to me in real life scenarios and I'll understand it. And then I may understand it with a little more calm so it doesn't ricochet rabbit up there and all over my body. Like, well, I got to reject that. Warning, warning, danger. That's like so absurd. I can't even allow it into my field at this moment. Got to go make the kids dinner. Bye. Anyway, so I don't know how it's actually going to be displayed. I don't know. And I don't know that it's coming in the next year to 2 years. I've been told by multiple session readings that I was going to have contact. I don't walk around going, is it today? Do you think they'll have contact today? Let me prepare myself. Let me get in my lotus position, stay here all day and wait for that. No, because that's the opposite of what my higher self tells me to do. You want me to create? I've got to get up and start having movement towards that creation. And that's also how your brain functions. You don't wait till you feel like cleaning your room. You start to do something you don't want to do. And then your synopsis of your brain starts to secrete creative movement. Okay. So I don't sit still too terribly long unless it's in rest mode and it's intentional to rejuvenate and to fulfill my cells that are constantly in leak mode because of food, air, stress, etc. And I got to give back to myself. That is very important. Self-nurturing, self-care, self-love before all else. Because I can't be anything to anyone else if I'm not that to myself. So anyway, as far as this alien thing goes, I see things from another dimension. To me, it is like having cellophane and sometimes thicker cellophane, but I can see people, places, energy movement, and it's always the same beings, some animal looking, some one particular people looking, always moving the energy. And it always comes in the form of an eye first, like a portal, and then it opens, and then I can see another life beyond that. Right? Eyes opened. So when I ask a lot of questions, they don't answer it, but I can see mouths moving and all kinds of things. So I stopped asking and I started sitting back and just saying, can you watch this on mute? I had to get past the frustration of that, right? And accept the fact that I was seeing something. Is it fourth dimension? Is it fifth dimension? Is it sixth? I don't know. They will let me know what I need to know. I can see movement in the sky when I focus and set my intention. When I was in Arizona, we were doing a huge fire water ceremony, about 30 people outside. And I would see movement and I would go, that's a plane. And then I say, that's not a plane because of the way it was in movement. And at one point I looked up and saw three lit triangle. And at first, if you look, you just think it's 3 planets or maybe 2 planets in a plane because one was kind of moving, but it didn't move like a plane. Next thing I know, the 2 bigger lights shut off and the one light and shut off. Now, the next day I was at the retreat and happened to be sitting on the step, picked up a conversation with another woman I've never met before who was traveling because she enjoys coming to these things once a year. And she had done the night vision goggles and they saw the triangle. She said, "We saw the triangle last night and it was there and then it disappeared." But she also said, with the night goggles, you can see the way the paths of the way the ships move. Now, I don't know what those are. I've not been called to pick one of those up for a multitude of reasons. I just haven't been called to do it. And I walk in oneness with my higher self. We merged also back in 2017. And then that's really when a lot more of my awakening came up, my perception, many more creative messages came through long before the lockdown and all the other stuff. That's when I really focused on my vision, sun gazing, meditation, inner child work, etc. And then that's when they told me I needed to do the show, which was actually just a YouTube. Now I am totally inept when it comes to electronics. So it was fear-based. I had to get a neighbor to help me. And they told me that I was to sit down when there was messages that came through, and it was going to prepare me for other things down the road. And there would be no hair and makeup chair, and they didn't care if there was pepper in my teeth. That's exactly what they said. They didn't care about the lighting, nothing. So my first year or two of videos was just, all right, let's sit down and pick a topic. And the interesting thing is, some of the topics that they picked, a couple years later, other people are talking about them, and I never watched their video. Never. I don't follow many people. As a matter of fact, the more I've gotten into this, very few shows do I actually watch, because I want to get my own download. I do not want any interference with certain things. So I'm conscientious about what information I allow to come in to my field, right? So lots of times spirit will pick that. So the first couple of years of YouTubing, I would listen while I was chopping vegetables or something. And I would say, "Spirit, is this a show I'm to listen to? Please let me know." And if I would be chopping vegetables and totally tune that show out and have to go back and rewind more than once, that show wasn't for me. Or if their voice changed and it just had an irritation to it, that wasn't a show I was going to watch. Okay. I like to listen to a few things that are shorter and that have some content that are really interesting. Spirit has asked me to do this. They said, "We will tell you what guests to ask. We will figure out how you're supposed to get in touch with them. And there's nothing to be rehearsed. Nothing. You are simply to hit record and go and bob and weave with it, because it's teaching the person that's the guest how to present and connect. And it's teaching me how to respond and connect, and we bounce. So some of us bounce better than others. So anyway, I don't know about this alien contact. I just know what I see. I know that there's life beyond this physical plane. That much I know for sure, because of some of the things that have occurred to me personally. But my key here is stop listening. Just because the multitude of people are now, the hot topic is contact. We're going to have contact. So now your nervous system is on alert. You're looking out for that and you're expecting it to happen, but someone else implanted that information. So that's one of the reasons why you got to reel it back, dial it down, and tune into this antenna. Tune in to your God self, because I am source. You are source. And so we have so much software in here that we've not experimented with because we're too busy looking outside of ourselves for all the answers, right? So anyway, Spirit saying that's enough for right now. I would love to hear, what do you think? We're going to get some contact. What kind of contact? How's that going to look? The other thing too is we have multitude of different diverse cultures of extraterrestrial beings from what we've been taught. And do you think they're all coming in the same ship? I don't think so. So who knows who's going to touch down first, or if they're even going to touch down, or they're going to come up from some place or out of the air, or whatever they're going to do. I just know that we are going through a massive metamorphosis, and we are in the throes of it around the world, planetary and here on Mother Earth, and taking the time to converse with her and give her a little extra love, and love your plants and your pets, and the birds and all the things that really are innately much more attached to Mother Earth than we as humans. We've been detached. We've been detached. We need to come back and attach and let that frequency elevate us into different levels of expanded consciousness and awareness that brings compassion, that brings love, that brings newness, that's going to feel so comfortable because it was us before we got disconnected. So let's step into more of our authentic self and just give that a try 1 or 2 times a day, or 1 or 2 times a week, whatever you can do. Get out there and marvel at the sun and the birds and all the little critters. Send them love. I get bees that land on me now. They come out and just chit chat. And then they just land on me and walk around. They don't faze me a bit. Right? So anyway, that leads me to a few other stories, but then we're just going to get on too much of a long video here, and then that people lose attention. So anyway, please subscribe, like when you do subscribe, leave us a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Are the aliens a coming? And what's that going to look like? What's your story? Tell me about it. All right. So much love, and welcome to Keep It Spiritually Simple.